Hey, welcome to another episode of the Fit Growth Machine podcast. I'm Brian Roisenthal, your host, and today I'm going to interview Shanif Dhanani. He's a data scientist and software engineer and currently the founder of Apteo, a platform for e-commerce marketers to create personalized marketing and shopping experiences. How cool is that? Before talking to him, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by BSR Digital. At BSR Digital, we help e-commerce brands that want to scale their business to the next level through Facebook, Instagram, and Google Ads. Yes, even after the iOS 14 update. Now more than ever, we understand that it's really important to level up the marketing and design a solid strategy at what used to work it doesn't anymore. So if your e-commerce brand lacks a solid plan and professional team to increase sales, we can help the same way we helped more than 1,000 brands like yours for over a decade. To learn more, you can visit us at bsrdigital.com, and you can also email us at hello@bsrdigital.com. Now, as promised, I have Shanif here with me. Hey, man, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me. It's going to be a good time, I know.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. I'm sure we are having a great time because all the topics that we have to discuss today are pretty relevant for this new era that marketing is facing, right? So, but before going there, why don't you start by telling the audience more about your story?
Cool, man. Well, yeah, appreciate you having me on the show again. So really quickly about myself, you can think of me as, I like to say I'm a data geek. So my background is in tech and AI. Before this, I was at Twitter. I was working on some of their ads teams, trying to figure out who's going to click on which ads. Worked on their moments team, their user onboarding team, different things, trying to use data to figure out how they could grow. And before that, I was a lead engineer and head of analytics at TapCommerce, which was one of the world's first mobile advertising platforms. So again, doing tech, doing machine learning, doing AI there. And like you mentioned, today I'm the founder of Apteo. We use AI to help e-commerce brands grow. So I love this stuff. I geek out on it. You'll probably hear me talk a lot about it today.
That's great, man. What a background. I mean, you have a background on AI or building AI. You have a background on advertising and combining the two things. So you're kind of an authority to talk about what we're going to discuss today, right?
I hope so. And if not, I'll just make it up. No, but yeah, I love this stuff. I've been working in it for a long time. So for sure.
Okay, awesome. So, I mean, right now we are facing a crazy era, not worse, not better. It's just different than before. I mean, iOS privacy updates, Google removing third-party cookies, probably in 2024 now. And, people are talking about zero-party data, first-party data, like there are plenty of things. So, I mean, how do you think this all will affect marketing going forward?
Oh, that's a big topic. Well, first of all, I feel for marketers because your job is very tough right now. It's always been tough, but now, like you mentioned, you're having trouble getting good results on Facebook. And next year, I think Google is planning on getting rid of third-party cookies. So the tactics that have worked really well in the past may not work as well in the future. We've already started to see that with Facebook ads. So you as a marketer just need to come up with new tactics, right? Do you focus on continuing user acquisition, or do you focus more on retention? Do you focus on loyalty programs? Do you focus on referrals? Do you focus on using data more? So there's all sorts of things you need to figure out. And I just think that as a marketer, you're just going to have to work harder with probably fewer resources. Kind of a sad trend, I guess, but there are lots of tools out there to help you.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good deal, right? Working harder with less resources, right? It's not the perfect.
Yeah, not ideal, that's for sure.
That's great. So let's say I don't know. So I just want to rewind a little bit because some people listening might say, Brian, I don't know what zero party data, first party data is. Some people might have heard of I don't know first party data, but then zero party data, not many people. So could you please define the two in a sec?
Yeah. So what you're talking about is basically you're a brand, you're an e-commerce brand, you want to use more data to improve your marketing. Where do you get your data? So you've probably heard these terms before: zero party data, first party, third party. Let's start with third party because that's going to be the most relevant for brands. Third party data is like what Facebook is collecting about people across the web. Facebook pixel is everywhere, so they can track what people are doing. Google is able to see what people are doing, and they can use that data to serve ads on your behalf. So that's third party data because a third party platform is collecting it. You're not collecting it, your users aren't giving it to you. Now, if we move down the ladder a little bit, first party data is data that your users give you. if they make a purchase, they have to give you their name and their address and their zip code. Maybe they give you their email address or their phone number when they come to your website. It's all first party data, basically things that they give you. I'm sorry, that's zero party data. So let me correct myself. Zero party data is anything that your users give you. My apologies. First party data is what you see and observe about your visitors and your customers. What pages are they browsing? What products are they browsing? Did they click on something that was added to a cart or not? Did they make a purchase or a checkout? And so just to recap, zero party data is what they give you. First party data is what you see. Third party data is what some random person is collecting. And this is really important because third party data has been what's driven a lot of the ads and marketing ecosystem up until today. And a lot of that is changing now.
Awesome. Thanks for explaining. So basically, please tell me if I'm wrong. People have been leveraging third-party data a lot during these years, advertisers, marketers, brands, and now, things are not the same as before. So brands need to level up their game when it comes to collecting zero and first-party data.
Yep. Like you said, I think you've probably seen it yourself, Brian, with your agency. Like every marketer who's been using Facebook ads is now saying, well, I'm not getting as many sales and I'm paying more money. And that's because Facebook cannot use data as well, which means you're affected by third-party data loss. So you as a brand have to start collecting zero-party data and first-party data. And you do that for a couple of reasons. This data can help you sell more to your existing customers if you're using it the right way. And I'm sure we'll talk about that. But it can also help you find new customers based on a couple of different strategies and tactics that, data is really good at. So you as a brand want to do things like, you want to make sure you've got a pop-up on your site that's collecting email address and SMS numbers. You want to make sure that maybe you're giving a quiz to your users, or that when you send an email, you're collecting feedback. This is all, first-party data, zero-party data that you're going to be able to use as a brand to grow more sales. And I think going into next year and probably the next few years, it's going to be more and more important to have this information.
Yeah, I agree. And I see one small but big probably challenge at the same time that we are all facing nowadays when it comes to data is that it's hard to collect manually, right? I mean, when we use Facebook's AI, Google's AI or any other platform's AI, we rely on their, AI or algorithm to collect the data and the pixels and all the stuff. And it makes it easy for us to say, oh, we want to target X, Y, and Z, and then we'll get that as an outcome. But then when it comes to first party data, zero party data, we don't have that, right? So it's not that we cannot collect the data, but it's probably an impossible mission to, being up to date and knowing what people want, how they want it, when they want it, all the time. So, what can e-commerce brands do to use data and to use it better, faster, and in a more accurate way?
Yeah, man, that's a great point. You'd be surprised, maybe you wouldn't be surprised at the number of people who are just scared to look at numbers and analytics and just like, I don't want to dive into a spreadsheet. Like, that's just not what I want to do. And I'll give it to the third parties. They've done a good job of not only collecting the data, but letting you use it to drive sales with ads. They've done a great job of that. So let's say you're a marketer. You're trying to figure out, okay, I need to do this more myself now, but I really, really don't know where to get started. There's a few things that you can do. They're not that difficult. So the first thing you mentioned it, Brian, it's how do you just start collecting the data? I think you just need a place where you can have all your customers in one place. If you're using Shopify or WooCommerce or BigCommerce, they're doing that for you. But then you want everyone who's an email subscriber or an SMS subscriber probably in the same place. Maybe they're stored on your Klaviyo or HubSpot or MailChimp account right now. That's fine. At least they're in one place. And then you want to start collecting other information like quizzes, referrals. These are all sort of stored, but Brian, you mentioned this. They're like, it's hard to get them all in one place. It's hard to know what you've got. It's hard to know how do you improve on what you have. I think the easiest thing to do is maybe just take stock, take an audit, say, okay, I've got these 5 things and these are all the points that I have, and just get a feel for like, what do you already have? And maybe you need to add something new. Maybe you've been doing email only, but you want to start doing SMS. Well, update your pop-up form on your website to collect SMS numbers and phone numbers in addition to email. Or maybe you've been thinking about putting in a loyalty program. Well, go ahead and install, a loyalty program. Once you've figured out all the things you need, go ahead and install those apps. That's step one, just collecting the data. Now, step two is kind of where the hard part is. Like you mentioned this, how do I use all this information to drive more sales? How do I use this to grow my business? You got to start small. Like, let's say, you've been in business for a few years, you think you got to be using this stuff. Like, don't go out and build your own sort of algorithm, like right off the bat, just make sure that you've got the simple stuff in place. When it comes to people who are, let's say you want to implement better marketing campaigns. Well, set up 2 campaigns, maybe one for people who haven't bought from you in a long time. We call these sort of your dormant customers, and one for people who have. Sounds stupid and simple, but believe it or not, this drives a ton of sales when you offer your dormant customers a bigger discount. And then do this again for different groups of customers. Like find people who buy discount or who buy bundles more often than others and offer them a bundle in an email. Find people who only use discount codes and offer them a discount code. You can get all this information from your analytics and from your data. And you do need to start looking at the data in order to figure out who these people are. So you can use a tool like ours, like Apteo. You can use Triple Whale, you can use Dacity. There's all sorts of tools out there that'll help you figure this out. Low cost, easy to use. So step one, just do small things like create sort of targeted marketing campaigns. And then as you grow, you can do more advanced things like automate your emails, automate the products that are sent to each customer, create lookalike audiences. We can get into all that, but this is a big topic. I just wanted to provide like a high level overview of how you might get started if you're brand new to this.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, doing a small comparison with what you said is mainly that, I don't know, I hope everyone listening who has an e-commerce brand has any kind of email marketing campaign or some automated flows, right? Abandoned cart and all this stuff. But doing a comparison with what you said is like kind of the same of doing the abandoned cart flow manually. So trying to capture every lost sale with a manual email campaign and say, oh, I don't know, John abandoned the cart 5 minutes ago. Oh, we'll send him an email. Of course, this sounds crazy nowadays because we have automation. So that's what you're saying. I mean, it sounds crazy to keep doing some things manually. I mean, ABO versus CBO, like ad budget optimization or campaign budget optimization, going more technical when it comes to advertising. Like we think that as humans, we know what we are doing versus the machine, the AI, right? And although there could be some exceptions in some cases, it's not the rule, right? And so it's trending towards like automation, the Power 5 from Meta and from many other platforms as well. So in this case, I think that, as you said, you can set up the systems, but then I don't know, I'm lost in the middle. Like how many people do you need to keep up with the demand to provide each user at the different phase of the funnel they are at with the message? So what can brands do? Is it only for anticipating to, I don't know, to provide the right message, or is it also to anticipate what they are going to buy next, for example? I don't know.
Yeah. The cool thing about data is you can do everything. And the scary thing about data is you can do everything. So where do you even get started? You can certainly optimize the message for each person. You can certainly figure out what customers are going to buy which products next. And our tool helps with that. So you're really talking about, like, if you're an advanced brand, let's say you've already set up your flows let's say you've set up your basic flows like I just talked about. You already know which customers haven't bought from you and you're targeting them differently than your best vendors. Fine, all that's set up automatically. What can you do next? I think if you're a marketer, you probably want to start picking 1 or 2 areas where you can optimize your sales. Do you want to start finding new customers better than you have been? Or do you want to sell more? Do you want to cross-sell more or upsell more? Do you want to increase the conversion rate of your website? Like pick 2 things, 2 or 3 things, so that you can focus rather than if you pick everything, you're not going to know what to do. Now, once you pick those 2 things, you can start to figure out what's the best way to get progress, to make progress. So let's say you're focusing on email conversion rates, and that's an area where we sort of optimize things a lot. Okay, so you're sending an email, you're sending, let's say, a couple of campaigns a week, and you've already got your automated flow set up. Those are different than the campaigns you're sending out. Like, all right, maybe your email conversion rate is like 1 or 2%. You're making a few $1,000s or $10,000, with your campaigns. And you say, hey, look, I think I can make more. All right, well, how do you make more? There's a few things you can do. 1, you can get more people to open the email, and 2, you can get more people to click on the email. So If you're open, if you want to get more people to open the email, you can start A/B testing the subject line. Try emojis, try different messages. That's not something that Apteo helps with, but it's certainly something that helps. Now, what if you want more people to click on your email or click on a product, right? Well, you know what most brands are doing today? They're just showing their top 5 bestsellers in their email and saying, hey, come and buy these. Or they're just saying, hey, here's a collection we have. They're sending this to hundreds of thousands of people, the exact same message. But why not send somebody the products that they're most likely to buy? Like for each individual person, show them the products that they want or the collections that they want. All of a sudden, your email conversion rate goes from 1% to 5%. So now you have defined a goal, increase conversion rates. You've measured what you were at before, 1 or 2%. You've come up with a strategy for improving it, and then you've implemented it, and you can measure what it is afterwards. And you basically take this process and you apply it to all areas of business: new customer acquisition, inventory management, on-site conversion rates, email conversion rates. But start small, pick one thing that you want to focus on, test it, grow it, and then go from there.
I like that. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm comparing this feature to what we can do, for example, in advertising with, I don't know, the Facebook product catalog, right? There's kind of the same in the Google campaigns, right? In shopping campaigns. So you can dynamically show people what they are most interested in because it's more likely that they will buy that way. And I can tell you, man, I mean, if it works as well as it works in advertising, I'm in, come in, because it's really great how we see that working, because, brands sometimes they want to push some products or categories, and that's okay. But then when you want to retarget people with the products they are most likely to buy, why do you have to be you as a brand to tell them what they should buy? Instead, they probably were browsing something or they abandoned something and they wanted to buy that instead, right?
It's so true. And it's like, really, it makes sense. And it's low hanging fruit. Like, that maybe somebody who bought these shoes will also like this shirt. And that from the data, because you have a platform that tells you. Why would you send them an ad for jeans that they never will buy? So or maybe even if jeans are your best seller, why send it to someone who's never going to buy it? You're paying for the ad, you're paying for the click, and nobody's going to come and buy it. Instead, show them the shirt, show them the socks, maybe show them a different color. Brian, I don't know if you've seen this, but a lot of our brands have this really weird thing where somebody buys a product and then they go and buy the same product again and then again. And it's not like makeup; it could be shoes, it could be a shirt. And so, sometimes you as a marketer don't know these things because you're not looking at the data, but the system knows it. And if the system can set up these ads for you automatically, like ours can, then, just let it optimize these things for you so you can go and spend your time on bigger, better things.
Awesome. So you mentioned a few segments. Could you please do a quick recap on the top segments that people can build using Apteo, for example?
Yeah. So that's I love this topic, and I might chew your ear off. So let's segmentation is one of our core features at Apteo. So we can basically automatically create segments of your customers. And if you don't know why segments are good, basically it's good because they can help you target people more precisely with the right message, and that increases sales. So we do segmentation a few different ways. We'll try to create segments for you based on a few different things. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll create segments for you based on what products we think each person is likely to buy. Let's say you've got 20 products, and let's say we think that 5 of these products people are going to buy. So we'll find those people, we'll group them together in a segment. We'll say these these 20,000 people are likely to buy this shirt. Here they are. Go advertise to them. This 15,000 people are likely to buy these shoes. Here they are. We'll do the same thing for collections or categories. So if you're on a Shopify, you can set up collections on your back end. We'll figure out which collections people are likely to buy from. So this is where the AI comes in. It's like trying to forecast or predict which people are likely to buy which products. We'll also do things, if you've got a subscription product, we'll say, hey, if these people are likely to churn, they're not likely to renew their subscription, you might want to go and figure out what's going on with them. And then the final sort of category, we'll do a few others. We'll sort of figure out who's male and who's female, because that surprisingly doesn't come from Shopify. We'll predict who's male and female. We'll also do things like, okay, these are the spending habits. So here are your big spenders. Here are your small spenders. Here's people who only spend with discounts. Here are people who only buy bundles. Here are people who we think are going to be your next best customers, even though they only bought once. So you as a customer, you as a marketer have a lot of tools, and now you can use these tools to go out and improve your campaigns. So that's where all the segmentation stuff comes in. At least the automatic segments on Apteo, the ones that you don't build yourselves.
Awesome. I mean, those sound like great opportunities because what you said, I mean, in the same line as advertising, people, create segments manually based on their gut or based on what they think
Yep.
they should be, or sometimes they don't even match to sales opportunity. They're
Yeah.
just, I don't database from, I don't
Yep.
know, 2020. Database from is like, okay, but that's not a dynamic list. It's
Yep.
not something that will help you sell. So awesome. So you have identified many, dynamic segments that people can build to increase sales. What's next? Let's say I
Yeah.
build all of those segments. What do I do next?
Now you got to use them. So, you have to figure out, you as a marketer need a strategy for how do you reach out to your customers. We have a few different ways that we recommend you do it. Again, let's assume you've already set up your, well, let's not assume that. Let's assume you're starting from scratch. Maybe you've got your welcome flow and your cart abandonment, and you're saying, okay, what do I do next? We recommend a few things to get started. One, we recommend a flow that targets your, what we call the at-risk or dormant customers. People who, for whatever reason, used to be decent customers, but they're not buying anymore. Have an automated flow that sends them a discount and says, hey, here are some new products that we've launched, and try to get them back. This is one of the easiest ways to generate sales for your store. And if you keep it as an automated flow, it'll just keep going. Every time that our system detects somebody becomes dormant, it'll send them an email. And we think you should do the same thing for a few others. Let's say you've got a new customer and you want to nurture this person. So like we'll identify, obviously you should be sending out your new customers nice emails, but we'll go one step further and say, hey, these 5% of people, we think that they're going to be your best customers based on their spending habits and who they are. So you should give them a little bit extra. Set up a flow that offers them free shipping on their next order. Do the same thing for your big spenders. These are all segments that you can get from Apteo. So let's say you set up these segments and we have a getting started guide that walks you through the first sort of 5 or 6 flows. Now you should be sending periodic emails and supplementing those with Facebook ads like you guys are doing. You want to show people the products that they're most likely to buy. So you send out that sort of automated product recommendations email once every week, once every 2 weeks. And then you set up a Facebook ad that targets these same people with those products so that now when they're browsing Facebook, they see these products. Then when you send them an email, they see these products, they're more likely to click. And then at the end, maybe you send them an additional SMS. So you're touching these people with multiple points, but it's the same product because these people you already know from the data that these people are likely to buy a product. Just make it easy for them. Make it easy for them to click, buy this product, and then you'll start to see sales growth. That will take you maybe 3 or 4 weeks to set up, those flows, the personalized recommendations emails, and then the Facebook ads. There's all sorts of things you can do afterwards, and there's a lot of guides we have, and Brian, you can probably help your customers through it. But that's how you might get set up. And then you just get more and more sophisticated in terms of how you communicate with customers and what you're using the data for. The data is really good for helping you understand what products to show to customers, both manually if you're creating your own segments, or automatically if you're using sort of the automatic emails. We also do automatic product recommendations on the website. The data helps to grow those in terms of conversion rates.
That's great. So if I understood what you said correctly, you cannot only use these within, I mean, for email marketing, but you can also use the segments for advertising for Facebook ads, right?
That's correct. We, at least for us, like I know a lot of tools are like us, but for us, we plug into Facebook ads, we plug into your email, to your SMS, and so then you can use these segments and
Okay.
the automatic recommendations
Is
across
it
these
both
different
ways?
tools.
I mean, the sync. I mean, I mean, feed Facebook and
Yeah.
also Facebook feeds you?
Yeah. So like depends on the system. Let's talk about Facebook. So Facebook, we can feed Facebook audiences, and we can then also read back from Facebook how those segments and campaigns are doing in your ads, and we can provide reporting and then also incorporate those metrics into the AI. For email, we can provide segments to your email tool, but then we can also use your email tool to read information. Who's clicking on what emails? Who's clicking on what things? Who made a purchase? If you're on Klaviyo, they even provide information about who's browsing websites. So then we bring all that information in. We use it to update our AI. The AI updates our segments. Segments go out to Klaviyo. So it's a really nice cycle, across all of these channels.
Awesome. I mean, this all sounds interesting. I mean, as a marketer, I can tell you right now that if you can add an extra layer, I mean, AI layer to all of your marketing efforts, email marketing ads, that's great. I mean, that will, of course, increase the conversion rate because I mean, we are not smarter than AI. We cannot like process all the data that fast. We cannot keep up with that. Sorry, so it's really hard for us. And I don't know how many people you need like every single day to collect that data, and it wouldn't even be fast. So if you're wondering why, I mean, I'm sure you get asked these a lot, or maybe because it comes to mind that people listening might be wondering, hey, I have some, I don't know, Klaviyo flows, my ads.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all automated. Why should I need this extra layer? I know the answer, but what can you tell them about that?
It's funny. I would say, well, if you have really good Facebook performance so far and you've got really great Klaviyo or email performance, well, maybe you don't. But I would say almost 100% of the people who we're working with think that hey, look, my ads on Facebook aren't working as well. And on my email side, like I usually just send an email to my entire list. I know I should be segmenting and doing different things, but I'm not. And so you might have flows set up already, but flows are good for certain situations. But you as a marketer still need to send campaigns out to generate sales. The best companies that we work with are sending anywhere from 15 to 20 emails per month to their customers. But it's not me as a customer, I'm not getting 15 emails. I might be getting one or two, and those one or two are personalized to me. And they're saying, hey, this is the best product we think you're going to like, or hey, here's our story. We think it's going to resonate with you. So you as a marketer need to make sure that when you're sending messages out, that when you're sending ads out, you're not wasting money, especially on like the social media side of things, and that you're not getting people to unsubscribe. And the way you do that is by targeting them with the best messaging so that they are more likely to respond to you and more likely to convert. Now, if you're already doing that, great. But I would say, even if you're already doing that, maybe you can improve. Like, let's say you've got 5,000 products in your store. One of our customers had 17,000 products. You as a marketer might say, all right, well, these are my top 5 or 10 or even 50 or 20 or 50 or 100, but you're not going to know if somebody likes product number 3,455 more than product 1. You're just going to assume because it's maybe product 1, you should send this to everybody. But that's where AI does really well. If you got a whole lot of data and a whole lot of people, it can find the best products or the best collections for each person without having to resort to things like, oh, this is my bestseller, or this is like, my favorite collection. So that's where the AI can help, and that's where you get the additional 1, 2, 3% conversion rate improvements.
Yeah, that's right. Because I mean, we as humans tend to simplify because we cannot process that much information, right? At the same time, so as you said, we pick a few top performing products and we go with that. The same with promotions, offers, and it's like the I don't know, traditional advertising. We want to push a message and that's it, right? That's all there is. And there are way more opportunities online, right? And that's one thing. And the second one is that, when you personalize a message, as you said, I mean, it is well known right now that, by now that if you personalize, you win. And if you don't send them a personalized message, of course, you will miss their inbox, probably will land on spam or anywhere else, because people will not like what they see. They won't appreciate what you're sending as a brand. So I totally see this makes sense. And the third thing is really important that people don't often, brands don't often think of the multiple levers for success that they have. They focus on one, maybe new customer acquisition, right? But then increasing AOV, LTV through cross sells, upsells, and many other efforts. They don't. So I think we kind of have, everything. So we need, like, I don't know, to be an octopus. We need multiple legs, hands, whatever, right? So in this case, you got their back, because once they set it up, you can identify many opportunities for them that otherwise they wouldn't have identified, right?
Yeah. I think you're totally right, Brian. Like, you've probably seen this yourself. Most people are just focusing on one or two things. Just, oh man, my Facebook ads are down, so I have to fix them. Or, hey, I only do email because I think that works the best. That's good, that's fine. But like, ultimately, if you're going to grow, especially in a world where all of your third-party data is gone, you want to find different channels and combine them across multiple channels. And so you as a marketer, you're only one person. So you probably want tools to help you and tools to automate your life as much as you can.
Yeah, totally. So what's on the roadmap for Apteo? Any new features that we can expect?
Yeah, one thing we're really sort of interested in. So we just rolled out, as I mentioned earlier, we have on-site personalization now. So you're a website visitor, maybe we don't have any previous data about you. We can still find enough information to show you the best products. And so that's something that we're rolling out to beta. But the next really big feature that we're interested in is, we have information on these millions of people. And you as a brand are starting to you're struggling to find new customers. And so just like Shopify rolled out their audiences product, we have the potential to find new customers for your brand across our existing network. And so we're going to start working on using our data and our AI so that brands can opt into this network. And they can say, hey, look, if you use my data, then I'll let you use my data, but in exchange, you got to find me new customers that are likely to buy from me. And so this is something that we're starting to look into, starting to work on, something we're really excited about, and something that we think that will really help brands, especially with Facebook issues, because now Facebook can't find you great customers. This is an alternative.
That's great, man. So this has been really, really interesting. It's been intense because it's loaded with a lot of value, information, technical stuff, but for sure actionable. And I think that it can really, really help brands increase sales. So I wanted to thank you for being here on the show. And before you go, I just wanted to ask you, where can people go to learn more about you and Apteo?
Yeah, appreciate that. It's been awesome, by the way. So if you're interested, we're at apteo.co. That's apteo.co. And you can email me directly. I'm Shanif at apteo.co. If any of your customers or listeners, Brian, want to use us, we'll give them an extended free trial and a discount to our programs as well. So that's it's been a great opportunity to speak with you. Wanted to just pass that along to you and your customers.
Awesome. Great again. And for everyone listening, please remember to go to fitgrowthmachine.com. You'll find all the show notes there, including this extended trial or trial period. Thank you for that, by the way. And all the resources mentioned here, you will find it there. So again, I appreciate your time. Again, it was a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.